Hi everybody, Jennifer Blevins-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and this is my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today I want to talk about the annual staff training review. As we rapidly approach the end of the year and the start of a new one, I wanted to remind you that you do have to make sure that your staff has at least annual training in many of the compliance sectors of healthcare. That includes HIPAA, fraud, waste, and abuse, your OSHA trainings, and depending on your state or certain payers in which you bill and are participating, you might have more. This is not just for your staff, but also providers. And this is a really good time, end of the year, beginning of the first of the year, to review and see where everyone's at. Of course, everyone is going to have to do their onboarding when they become hired, but then you're going to have to do annual reviews. So a lot of people, if they have a program or some kind of software that helps them remind staff when they're due to do their annual trainings, then that's great. But if you're a small practice, trying to keep track of that could be really difficult, and it might just be easier to have everybody on the same cycle. So even if you hired someone new in July and they just did it, it's okay to have them do it again with the rest of your staff in January, February, March, whenever your annual trainings are. Even though it hasn't been a full year, at least you'll get them on the same cycle. And you have to do it within so much time of them becoming hired, so you do that, and then you have them do it again whenever they need to with the rest of the staff, and then moving forward, they'll be on the same cycle. Nobody is exempt from these trainings, and you'll get a lot of complaining and belly aching and pushback from providers saying, well, I need to see patients, I don't have time for this. I've heard some really crazy excuses. I'm a provider, I don't have to do this, which is not true. There's no exemptions. And so it's really good if you can find some way of maybe blocking out half of a day. So all the staff shows up to work, they work the first half of the day, then at lunch, you guys are closed and everyone does their training together at the end of that day for the second half. And then, you know it's out of the way, you don't have to worry about patients, yada yada. You post it way ahead of time so that your patients know that you're going to be closed for routine required compliance trainings. Or if you want to be really mean, you make them come in on a weekend, like a Saturday or a Sunday for however long. But I would honestly encourage trying to block out half of a day of the work week just to not impede on people's weekends. Even though they will be paid for it, you have to pay them for their trainings. It's just one of those things. The other thing you want to check is your CPR requirements and make sure enough people in your staff are CPR certified and that none have lapsed, they're not coming up on a renewal date, and that you make sure, because there are regulations, I think it's by state, but I could be wrong, I'm not very strong in this, but I do know that you have to have a certain amount of people who are certified by shift per how many patients or something like that. So instead of trying to keep track of that, most places just say everyone needs to have a CPR BLS certification minimum, and it has to be renewed, as it requires. And a lot of places will do the training for their whole group together. I know that in the past I used to get my staff together, whoever was due, which pretty much almost everybody was on the same cycle. We would schedule it after hours, and we would do a fun little food board. Everybody would bring some food. We'd do the training late one night, after we closed, and it was over with and everybody was good for the 2 years. So, you can be flexible, creative, and that sort of thing, but definitely now is the time to review and see when you're due for those trainings. Make sure it's all documented, everything is up to date in which they're being trained, and then you'll be good for the next year. If you have any questions or comments regarding this, please leave that in the comments below. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much, you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.